It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woo-hooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You are listening to the Welsh Regional Rugby Podcast. We haven't quite worked out what the A in RAP stands for yet, but bear with us. This is the best place for fans in Wales to get involved and have your say about what matters to you around your regional team. Then again, I would say that because I'm a presenter. So anyway, here we go. Welcome to the show. Coming up on this week's show, we discuss all the important issues from this week's games. The attack, the defence, the attitude, the crowds, and the referees. Oh, we talk about the referees. And we dip our toes into the Gallagher Premiership debate as well. So, let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, so you joined us again for the RAP podcast, Welsh Regional Rugby. A means something and P is for podcast. So joining me this week, I've got Rhys. How are you, Rhys?
Very well, thank you, Lee. Very well, thanks.
Good man. And we're missing Carwyn this week because, bless him, he's got a sniffle and a cold. So he's taken to his bed and he's going to snuggle up all warm, safe in the knowledge that he won't have to face me and you talking about how crap the Ospreys were. So, first things first, mate. What's your drink of the week? What's your choice of drink this evening?
This week we've gone for Brewdog Hazy J. I'm not being sent these, so but if they want to send them to me,
that's quite happy.
Yeah, got on the co-op on the way home.
And is it a nice one? Because
Hazy J's nice. Yeah,
I'm always conscious of stuff in a can, thinking it's going to taste like baked beans. Do you know what I mean? That's why I always go for bottles. But is it a decent can beer?
Yeah, there's loads about now. Like do you like all the IPAs and stuff like that, or the lagers, the pilsners, and that?
Well, I'm only just getting back into my proper craft ales, so I'm slowly working my way across the top shelf. Like this week, I've got a Welsh Pale Ale. I don't tell the wife. I got a Glamorgan Brewery Welsh Pale Ale, and yeah, it's quite nice. So that's going to keep me company during the podcast. So where should we start? Should we go in reverse order and start with it? We very nearly had someone from the Dragons to come and talk about rugby tonight. Very nearly, but he's working, so we can't make it. So
he probably just didn't want to go with us losers, did it? Like, he's part of a winning team now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's weird that in all the weeks that I've been going, let's get somebody from the Dragons. We need somebody from the Dragons. And then the week they win, all of a sudden I got people going, well, I might be able to. I might come on, you know. But fingers crossed for next week. We might get someone. But what did you make of the Dragons game, mate?
Oh, just well proud of them. You don't see that usually. Like we were talking before we started, the Munster, no matter what Munster sides put out, is it going to be a decent side? They're going to be physical, they're going to be direct, and they're going to be, their plan's going to be well thought out, isn't it? But they're clearly, the Ivory building and stuff like that, but that's to take nothing away from the effort. The Dragons pack, and the winger's name escapes me now. They caused all the damage. And
could have been any of them. Moriarty was amazing. Rowlands was amazing. I just thought I think there was a change in the attitude. Like we spoke last week about what Dean Ryan said, and then it all kicked off in the press. And then has he been suspended? Has he been sacked? Nobody's seen from him. And that kind of creates a mentality inside the camp, doesn't it? A bit like, it's do or die sort of a thing. And I think you could see that in the attitude. Everybody was hitting the line. Everybody was just on it, And it was, it's even though it was the Dragons, it was really nice to see a Welsh side actually go and just bully someone up front.
Yes, yeah.
And when you saw people like Tad Byrne, he's standing at the back of a ruck. There's a really simple, easy pass, and he takes his eye off the ball, and he's looking at Moriarty coming at him, and he knocks on. And you just think like, wow, okay, somebody's made an impact, So yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
And that's something that's missing from all of Welsh rugby, really. If you think like the step below the national side, the national side, lately has fronted up, and the last World Cup and the last time we won the 2019 Grand Slam, our pack was, it was hard. Do you know what I mean? It went at the South Africans, even though we lost the game, sort of thing. Like it was really hard piece, to get through them, sort of thing. But below that, like Gatland made a career of taking disparate parts from loads of places, didn't he? Putting them and changing them into something different. And then, the strength of Welsh rugby, everybody talks about the Welsh way, and stuff like that, and the way the backs used to play, and we're still producing very talented, like wingers, centres, scrum halves, and stuff like that. But it used to be big, nasty forwards as well, didn't it? Like it used to, I started watching Cardiff play in the 90s, like from 1990 onwards. I just remember, the Pontypridd pack with like Rowley and Bazzani, and really like nasty pieces of work, the Moriarty, the older generation of Moriartys were still playing at Swansea. Jim Richard Moriarty, the lock.
None of them had modelling contracts, so did they?
No, really.
they weren't in that kind of area. They were. I mean, they were brutal boys. So when I was in Cardiff Uni, I went down to watch. I only ever went to watch one game, so I was there for 3 years, and I only ever went to watch one game, and it was Cardiff and Newport. And Jesus, I thought the cops were coming at half time because somebody needed to be arrested because there was a lot of stuff, and I thought, the crowd were giving the referee a fair bit of grief at the time. And I thought, I think he's brave blowing the whistle once because, somebody's going to just eat him or something at half time, But that was the intensity of that game. It was a very, like I say, forwards were going head to head. And you're right. I think when we saw it on Sunday from Newport or from the Dragons on Sunday, it gave the backs the room to play. It gave the backs to run into space and to fart around and to do the fancy bits, didn't it? Yeah. And it's all well and good. I think it starts in that front row where you need somebody in that front row that's going to, I used to call them referees' assistants. You need somebody that if somebody's coming round offside, they're going to very politely move them out the way because the referee obviously didn't see them. They're going to move them out the way and politely explain to them that that's not the rules of the game. If you're going to come around here, I'm going to introduce you to something different that's outside of the rules that you might not like, and they just enforce the rules. And you need somebody like that in that front row, somebody that kind of goes, you're not going to come past a certain line. You're gonna have a bit of oomph, and I think Newport had it on Sunday, and it never felt like they were going to lose that game. It felt like it to support. I was watching supporters on Twitter, and it was like, yeah, fantastic, this is it, yeah, we got it. And then, oh no, hang on now, everybody be quiet because we might lose this. And then, oh, hang on a minute, oh no, let's calm it down. Do you know what I mean? And you can't blame them, because it's been 500 days or however long it's been since they experienced the joy of actually knowing their side was going to win. So it was, taking it the way they did. It's quite funny watching it on Twitter, the up, down, and everybody going, I don't know, no, calm down. Like, because putting something on Twitter is going to make somebody knock the ball on or something. Like, let's just not take any chances here. Everybody be quiet. But and I think the reaction from supporters, Facebook and Twitter and all sorts of social media, it's now Wednesday night, and my feed is still full of Dragon supporters sharing videos from Sunday, and just going and
fair play too. Like when I looked at the match and looked at the crowd, Rodney Parade. Jimmy, like, you remember the days of it being packed out, and those supporters there. It meant the absolute world, because as it boils down, as real rugby struggles for crowds, it's getting down to the real sort of hardcore supporters, isn't it? The people that will support them their whole life, lifers. And when you pan to the the crowd, and you just saw this one guy just going really sort of punching the air. And I just thought, oh, brilliant, man, absolutely fantastic, to see. And that's the thing, sometimes, even if you lose it, you just want to see a side give that 110% and really go at the other side, don't you? Isn't it?
Yeah. And they did a really, really good job of that. And, even if they didn't win that game on Sunday, I think the reaction would have still been a positive one, because they'd have, if that last one had been given as, I don't know, as a knock on or whatever, do you know what I mean? Or he hadn't slotted that last kick, then, nobody could have complained about the way the Dragons played that game, because the intensity, the attitude was there. So the question now is, and you would have experienced this as a Cardiff fan playing Munster, and you come off and you go, we're the dog's bollocks now, we are.
Yeah,
because we've just taken Munster apart.
My prediction was what we're going to beat Glasgow, wasn't it?
So they're coming off Munster and going to face the Sharks, which is, somehow I managed to written the Sharks are a different kettle of fish. And I don't think I meant to write it like that, but, the Sharks being a different kettle of fish. There we go. So they are a very, very... You've only just got that, haven't you?
Yeah.
So,
just being punched in the head.
That's what that'll do it for you. But are they going to follow it up against the Sharks? I think it's a big ask to go up against the Sharks, but
I think it'll be a better game because what's just happened, isn't it? I think there'll be, you'd hope so, wasn't it? From the Dragons especially, sort of thing. Good, and something that's different about the Dragons now, isn't it? They've got leaders like Moriarty now in the side, haven't they? Possibly they didn't have that before. To sort of galvanise them a little bit more, like when we spoke last time about the game they lost, the Moriarty and players like that were still like a brick wall, weren't they?
Yeah, and I think that's the pressure's almost off now. The cap's been taken off, and all the gas has escaped, and that pressure kind of reduced. So there's a bit more freedom to play, but I still think they're going to want to take that up. They're almost like finding their way of playing now, and hats off to Di Flanagan to actually. It's a very different way of playing to what was being coached down in the Scarlets. Scarlets, it was all about, our strength down there is fast backs, skillful, going around the corner. And in Newport, it's a very different side that he's got there, even though he's taken half the Scarlets players from last year with him. It's still a very different setup. And fair play, they've taken what they've got and they've done a really good job. Like, he's really to pull that out, and they looked comfortable. But can they do it against the Sharks?
They got some good things. The winger I was trying to think of is what's his name? Dyer.
Yeah.
Got yellow card as well. Scored the try. Like he was just like he like that's a difference as well, isn't it? Sort of thing. And he was running at the running appropriately at the defence, if you know what I mean. Not just running like without an idea. He was, there was more mismatches, wasn't there? Like, and Dyer had some pace on him, and he was rapid.
Well, for that last
try, he had a couple of runs now where he who was the I don't know, the left wing for Munster. Oh, Zebo. So
he skinned him, didn't he?
On a couple of occasions, like, isn't it? He just just stepped him, and it was wonderful to see.
Yeah, that last one, it was almost like a training manual where, you take the ball, you stand him up, you go round the outside and you outpace. And you forget about the fact that this guy's a British Lion, an Irish international, played God knows how long in France, at the very best in the world. And, he was made to look second rate. He was just like, you stay there, son. I'm off for a run with the ball, and I'll catch you I'll catch you on my way back. I'll put the ball down over the line, and I'll give you a wave on the way back, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
So it was. You just don't expect that sort of a game from the Dragons. You don't expect it, and this is the thing as well, that there were Scarlet supporters, Ospreys supporters, Cardiff supporters, all cheering for Dragons. I didn't see a single supporter going, I hope they get stuffed, and that's quite rare. So I think it's kind of galvanised a little bit of something in Welsh rugby as a whole.
And that needs to happen more, doesn't it? I mean, that's half our problem, isn't it? That we can't sit around the table together, can we? Isn't it?
We can. We just end up fighting each other. That's the problem.
This is going surprisingly well,
Yeah. But that's why they put the screens up during COVID. It's nothing to do with transmission. It's just to stop people fighting when they're having a chat about the rugby.
That's right. That's right.
So let's move on from the Dragons. And you pick who we're going to talk about next. Do you want to delve into the depths of Cardiff, or do you want to do Ospreys and then?
Never. Should we tear the plaster off? Should we?
Well, what did you think about the game, though? What did you?
Well, it's more of the same, and I just feel like, and this goes across the board with Welsh rugby, doesn't it? All the regions and what have you, is consistency, and. Cardiff can put together performances, but not over a series of games, sort of thing. Like I said it last week, and it's the only one that sticks out. But there's more. But I was at the game where we beat Leinster when Jared Evans slotted the final kick to win the game. Very similar to the Ospreys, but coming up short. But okay, we'll stick with Cardiff. I won't. Cardiff's not here to defend them. But so started brightly. There's clearly like a plan to Dai Young's coaching, which is nice. Because
it makes a nice change.
Coaches, we haven't really had that. The way they go wide, so it's a lot of everybody seems to know what they're doing to begin with. And that resulted in Josh Adams going out over in the corner, sort of thing, with a very nice long pass.
That first try was superb. It was. I mean, all the when you look at it on highlights, you only see the last bit, but actually, the build up to that was quite controlled. It was quite. There was nothing crazy about it. It was quite specific. Like I say, there was a plan. We're going to suck them in, and then we suck them in, and then we move them over there, and then we suck them in some more. Then we move them back, and it was on. And that last floated pass, it is a very much a Jared Evans sort of a thing, a bit risky and what have you. And it came off, and it always looks good when the risky stuff comes off. But I just, even watching that as a kind of a neutral. I'm going to say it was neutral, but cracking. That start to the game was superb, and I just thought, they got this. They started so well that they're just going to keep going from where they were last week. And,
they seemed confident to start with, didn't they? Seemed to hammer into the Glasgow forwards. But then almost like immediately afterwards, it was one-way traffic sort of thing, and we just didn't seem to have an answer. We couldn't get rest possession back. You can't blame, refereeing and stuff like that for what was happening on the field. I'd like to talk about some of the yellow cards, if that's all right.
It's in my notes, mate. It's in my exact note says the referee was shocking.
Massively. But even so, do you mean and as a Cardiff supporter, like in the South Terrace, we often, I was preaching to the choir of my other, friends there, like every game they're shocking, but it seemed particularly bad in this game. From what I could see, but then we can't blame that for the score that was put on us was ridiculous, isn't it? And we're a better side than that, I feel. But not that night, and not that night. It just wasn't good enough. Wasn't the tackles weren't good enough. We weren't watching how they were attacking. And fair play to Glasgow. They put some lovely rugby together. Some of the interpassing was brilliant, between the backs and forwards. But some of those decisions, like the yellow cards on Hollow, and the yellow cards on, I can't remember which Scottish player it was.
On the outside half.
Yeah, who smashed into the face of, and I know people on the podcast can't see this, but I'm actually doing the actions. Smashed into the face of the Cardiff player with his shoulder.
That was quite an aggressive. I think that was quite close to how aggressive he was, mate. Your little bit there.
Yeah,
it was not
absolutely. I'm feeling the anger now, Lee.
I can sense it. The thing for me though was he was, both players. So he'd gone into contact and he'd kind of like wrapped the arms around, and then he separates and then goes in with the shoulder. So it's not like he got his tackle height wrong, or it's not like he mistimed it. Do you know what I mean? He was in there and he was wrapped. He released himself and then he came back in with a shoulder. Now
it was like a split second thing. It wasn't like he was coming up or anything like that. It was like a swinging shoulder, isn't it? It's like you're doing a pub.
Yeah, and exactly, and the referees now are professional referees. And I had this conversation with somebody earlier about the Scarlets game, because the referee in there was. It's not necessarily the referee, it's the TMO that I'm more annoyed with. Because referee, and I've refereed in the past, only at junior level, but even at junior level, you've got all the players on the pitch and their parents that you've got a referee as well. So it's kind of similar, you've got to keep your eyes on, and a couple of umbrellas. But, you've got to keep your eyes on everything you're trying to, and you've only got one set of eyes, and you can only see your view. And then you've got your two touch judges who were meant to kind of help you and say, this is what happened, or have a look at this, or you might want to reconsider that. And then you've got a guy who's not fit enough to be a referee and is sitting in a nice little cozy cupboard with a cup of tea and a couple of cakes, looking at a video and going, I'm going to study this video, and there's no time limit on that thing at all. You just have to get it right. And that for me is to get that decision wrong, that one with the Glasgow one, it was on 30 minutes and Cardiff was still in the game at that point. They were behind, but they were still in the game.
Yeah.
Now, you take an outside half out of the game for 40 minutes, the whole of the second half, that's going to start to pay. Somebody somewhere's going to start leaving gaps, and at some point it's not going to work. So, I think, you can't blame the referee for everything. And I think the intensity of Cardiff tackling was really quite poor. But
I can blame him for that. But when I said that, I meant like the rest of the game of Cardiff standing up to the attack and stuff like that.
But I think if that guy goes off at that point, it does change the attitude in the game.
Yeah.
And I think it's bits like that we'll talk about your problems with the URC and things like that after, but that is a consistent problem through the URC, is referees and TMOs just not getting decisions right like that. And they affect the game. They affect the feel of the game, because as soon as you make a decision like that, you've got the whole crowd going, particularly if it's a home game and it's against the home side, you've got the whole crowd giving you grief for the rest of the game. And you just think, like, somewhere's got to go, you've made a mistake there, mate. You might want to have a look at, like, if he's yellow carded and he was yellow carded over half time, he's allowed to upgrade that yellow card to a red card. Yeah. So he could have, and I'm not saying this is something that happens very often, but he could have had a look at the footage again over half time and gone, actually, I got that wrong. It's a red card. I need to explain that to both sides before I go out. This is the change in decision. And he could have done that, and that's quite legal, as my understanding of it is anyway. But yeah, I mean, I'm not.
And that's the thing, like when you said about the TMO, the TMO has started to be a person that stops the referee in his tracks and says, you need to look at this, and stuff like that. Or, I've just noticed he's done this. Yeah. That needs to be checked again, sort of thing, like, isn't it? So why wasn't that done, man? But clearly, like, one eye didn't live it, but that was. I'm correct in this. I'm 100%.
Yeah, no, I think the one bright bit that came out of that game for Cardiff again was Carwyn, and second game on the trot, he was still making yards. He was still giving everything. I think his attitude, because he's still a young guy, isn't he? He's only like early 20s. He's not like a 30-year-old. I
think 23.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so, for him to be standing up and going, follow me into battle, sort of a thing, let's go at them, let's have them. I think that's a real. You've got someone there to kind of build your backline around, and I think my only question is whether you've got Jared Evans doing lots of crazy, exciting, interesting things. Let's paint the world pink with purple dots while I'm doing a little dance and sorting my hair out. And then you've got Carwyn going, give me the ball because I'm going 20 meters, and give me the ball again because I'm going 20 meters. It's a very contrasting kind of styles and attitudes towards the game, and it's whether or not Cardiff can get them to work together and complement each other.
It is a new partnership, isn't it? So that backline is a new partnership, and maybe having a Hollow on from the start, somebody that just sort of can make that magic happen, but is also like an old campaigner as well, sort of thing. Because Jared Evans is quite experienced now. He does play that role, but more and more he can play it straight as well. But yeah, it's just like, what is our best backline and stuff like that. The other thing, like talking about players, is the inclusion of Ratty at number 8. Because there's all this and I felt a bit sorry for him, because he was like a bit of a success story at the end of last season. Somebody that was converted from second row as a half decent second row into quite a very good, I'd say, burgeoning number 8 sort of thing. Like at the end of last season, like his carries, his tackles, his stats were looking good and stuff like that. And I think that's no bad thing to bring him in instead of Faletau, because Faletau is an amazing player. He's the next class, isn't he, and stuff like that. But he's not going to be with us very long in the season, what have you. And we need somebody like Ratty to be having game time, to be able to be playing at a different level. And he can only do that if he can get on the pitch,
Well, sometimes, like you say, you can only learn if you're actually in that environment where you're playing those kinds of games. You know, training, all well and good, but you actually need that game experience where you can, you know, actually be up against somebody that's trying to stop you running. You know, that's what you need, and that's how you gain the experience. And like you say, it's a bit unfair of him to have to compare him with Faletau, but that's where he is. That's the environment he's in, and that can only make him a better player, really.
Oh, absolutely.
There was a report out today, I think it was Wales Online. I try not to read them if I'm honest, but I think it was Wales Online that said, you know, all the Welsh internationals have all got different kind of levels of how much they can play for their clubs, for their regions. Which I thought was okay. That's quite accurate. I think the impression before was that it's like a blanket. You could only play within certain periods and things like that, and you can only play so many games on the bounce. And so I just think it's an interesting way of how Cardiff kind of manage. You know, you could look at that whole season and go, right, barring any injuries, we're going to play him here, 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 and then there, and then, you know, that's to have to plan that out in probably first week of September this year. You know, is when they had to plan out who's playing in May. You know, that's it's a bit crazy, but that's the world we live in. A bit of a crazy world with the WRU at the minute, don't we?
Yeah.
So
and don't get me wrong, if that's what we have to do to have Faletau playing for Cardiff, play that price. But,
that's it, innit? If you only got in for 5 games a season, then you make the most of those 5 games, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think he's he's going to be interesting to see how that goes through the season. So you got the Lions on Friday again. I mean, you've got another Friday. You boys like Friday games, don't you?
We don't.
They like giving you Friday games.
Yeah, they like to give us Friday games. Yeah.
I think I reckon the schedulers have been in Cardiff on a Saturday afternoon, but it's like an international Saturday afternoon. And they're gone, there's no ways anybody getting in and out of here. So we'll schedule them all. This is what every Saturday must be like in Cardiff. So we'll schedule everything on a Friday night. So what do you make of the Lions, mate?
Well, watching them against the Ospreys, plays very good rugby, obviously won the game sort of thing, high scoring game as well. They got some good runners. They can also, they've got a leaky defence as well. I know that they just scored more than the other side, didn't they? Is it Keenan Giles? Scored. So I saw his 2 tries. The way he cut through them was, he was a talented winger, you know, and stuff like that. But it showed that they are vulnerable, and we've got some strike runners as well. But it's whether there's. It's back at the Arms Park, so that's in our favour. We tend to play better at the Arms Park. Our defence tends to be usually better at the Arms Park.
Have you got both fingers crossed or something?
Yeah.
You go, our defence is better, honest. No,
I remember that, like last season, like going through it, like, you know, it was like nothing could get through, and you're like, yeah, wow, this is amazing and stuff like that. And towards the end of the season, it's like,
like Coyote chasing the Roadrunner.
But we've got some strike runners and stuff like that. I think it's a game that'll suit somebody like Jared Evans and Thomas Williams, and, you know, and what have you. With as you say, like, you know, somebody that the forwards can hit, like Max Llewellyn. So he continues his rise, hopefully, and hopefully just the pack fronts up. The pack just works there, absolute backsides off sort of thing, absolute bollocks off against, you know, what will be, you know, meaty, massive South African. There are no small South African packs, are there? Do you mean, like, you know, the Lions,
send them to France?
Bulls, yeah, like, isn't it?
I think what was interesting after Friday's, Saturday's game, after last week's game. Oh, yeah, it was Friday, wasn't it? Yeah. So after last week's game, Dai Young was quite controlled about the way he said, my forwards were shit and they need to start tackling. So I think he said something like, the defence coaches worked really hard with these boys over the off season, and we were really impressed. And I think those boys have let the defence coach down, but we'll have a chat about that, and we'll sort that out for the next game. Because to me,
different
that sounded
to Dean Ryan's approach.
Exactly, yeah. Dean Ryan's at home sitting there going, bastard, yeah, that's what I should have said. I'd still be in a job if that was bugger. But it you know, he's right, and I can imagine going into work on Monday, and that video review on Monday not being a very comfortable kind of 5-10 minutes for each player. That, you know, I said, when you look back on it, it was just weak. It's like they were around rucks and kind of looking at each other going, well, are you going to have him, or do you want him, or shall I have him? And the ball was gone, you know?
Just watching it, like, rather than smashing it, like, and stuff like that. Or
yeah. And I don't know if that was partly to do with the referee, and sometimes you're kind of overcautious about, you know, he's dishing out yellows or he's dishing out warnings, and I don't want to go and, you know,
trying to play the referee and how he's making his decisions.
Or whether it was one of those tactic things where you go, you know, okay, we're not going to attack the ruck for the first 4 or 5 rucks, and then by then they were scoring a try. But yeah, I just think that there needed to be something said. And fair play to Dai Young, you know, he did come out and he did say, he didn't say I've got this wrong, but he said somebody's got this wrong, and we need to put that right. Which, you know, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Dai Young. When he came back to Cardiff, I thought it was the wrong option for Cardiff. I thought they should have gone for a better coach, and I think they almost played it safe bringing him back because he's been there before and he kind of knows the club. But
yeah, we've had such a bad time. Like I had, you know, no disrespect to Mulvihill. I just didn't think he was a head coach. I thought he was a passionate coach. I thought, like I said last week, that he brought players on and like these individuals who we just used to put our hands over our faces and go, oh, here they come, and what have you, suddenly started producing these amazing performances, like, you know, that almost like from nowhere. And that's what he was like. You know, everybody that worked with him, like, he's a brilliant man-manager coach. But we had that. He couldn't galvanise the team to, you know, we started falling away and stuff like that. But year on year, like all the coaches say, like there needs to be more money to do more things, you know, as all the regions need, what have you. But if you're not having it, next, what have you. So Diane came in, and I was hopeful because of his time and experience with Wasps that he might be able to produce something. And he has, you know, we've improved in many ways, but we're still just inconsistent, and we fall away. We fall away spectacularly. It's not just like, you know, we lose the odd game by 5-10 points, we should win. Like Glasgow, do you mean like Glasgow are not a team that should be battering us by that much, like, isn't it? You know, if we all played as, you know, I've seen Cardiff play, then that shouldn't happen, you know. But
yeah, so if you go back to kind of so Dai Young coming from Wasps and you know, things like that, and I'll just kind of meld the two together and make them work, mate.
So yeah, you know, he's done all right with Wasps. Wasps were a good side under him and stuff like that. You know, possibly not the best that they could have been, but he had that experience in the Premiership, and he did a fairly good job, you know, with a you know, decent side. Even when they moved to Coventry, you know, they carried on performing. Imagine Cardiff, you know, moving to Machynlleth or something, like, you know, they just fall away, wouldn't they? Like, you know,
nobody be able to pronounce the name, mate. You know.
Well, yeah, that's
they'd all be sitting there going like, that's too difficult for me, boys. Let's go to Ponty instead. So
we were hopeful when he came, but you know, and early signs were really, really promising, and you know, like, you know, took some scalps and what have you, looking, you know, but that consistency again, and that continues, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's like it's more like innate in Welsh rugby as it is, you know, football's just taken over us as the national sport apparently, which is hurtful.
Yeah.
My daughters play and watch football now and stuff like that. And from Didzy, I was taking them to, the Arms Park and stuff like that. But it just might have been regionalism ruined the rugby for them because they saw Dad angry when he was watching rugby more than excited.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, we'll talk about that when we talk about URC at the end, and genuinely, we could spend. I think we'll do like a Christmas special, where there's no rugby on, and we'll just do a bucket load of podcasts about here's something that's really great in me, and we'll get some extra beers in, and we'll just let rip for an hour, just for the hell of it. Yeah. So, what did you think of the Ospreys game then?
They put some fantastic rugby together, and the Giles tries were awesome. Do you mean really well worked and really like scintillating, cut through the defence. Shows they can be scored against. The score itself shows that the Lions' defence isn't perfect. They just scored more points than their opposition.
But I think it shows that they can be worked around. I think that the Ospreys haven't got a particularly strong attack, and they had to work really, really hard to find the spaces. What they have got is they've got two fast boys on the wings, and it's how do you get those two fast boys into a space where they can run and do some damage. Yeah. And I think that's where Ospreys let themselves down, was when they kicked far too much ball away, and then the kick chase was poor. And I'm going to say it again, that Rhys is a frigging liability. And I know, I know, there's a lot of Osprey supporters that just won't have a bad word said about the guy, but there comes a point where even hardcore supporters are going, maybe not this week. Let's let somebody else have a go this week. Do you know what I mean? And yeah. I just say he kicked so much ball away, and it was aimless. They've done all the hard work, and then it's like, I don't know what it is, but instead of building that momentum and letting the ball go, it's like, all right, we've had 3 rucks and we've not really got anywhere. Caterpillar kick, and this is the thing that when I watched the Scarlets game, I think in the Scarlets game there were 3 scrums in the whole of the game, not a single caterpillar. Yeah, any kicks were done quick off the back of a ruck. Yeah, there was none of this stop it, slow it down, roll the ball back, let's get a few more in and bump. Yeah, and I think Ospreys are shooting themselves in the foot. When you've got those quick boys on the wing, you should be going, how do I get space in midfield to make space for them on the wing? Who have I got to send up the middle? Somebody like Max Llewellyn going bang up the middle and drawing 3 defenders in, quick ruck, where are my flyers? And it just doesn't seem to be that intention. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're quite happy to roll through. Don't get me wrong, the dominant part of the game is the forwards and set piece play, but the days where your set piece play would win you the game on its own, well, as they've just seen, they drew against the Scarlets and they lost narrowly against the Lions because they couldn't make enough of the backs. They dominated both of those games up front, but they couldn't capitalize on that at the back. And I think that's where they need to find a spark. They need to find something. Listen to me, man. I'm trying to talk the Ospreys up again. It's all this drinking.
Undercover Osprey support.
Whoa. I reckon there's something in this beer. Honest to God, that's 2 weeks on the trot now where I've actually been quite complimentary.
You're embodying Carwyn.
Yeah, he's in the room. But no, look at it from a Welsh rugby point of view. If we had all 4 regions competing, then you're in a really good place. Then you're in a place where we're going, this is fantastic. And all 4 regions can compete. It's just, like you said, it's about, can you compete at the same level in the same way week after week after week? Can you be consistent?
Yeah.
And that's
can you make that same tackle again and again off the base of the ruck or of the or the scrum or in the midfield and stuff like that when different sizes and different game plans are running at you. Do you mean?
Yeah, and I think the Ospreys show that more than anyone else, where they, if anything, they're more consistent because they're consistent in not making the most of the ball that they've got, and they're consistent in kicking the ball away and kicking the ball and having a poor kick chase. At least other teams are showing signs of improvement. Like that was bad.
Do you think that was anything to do with they mixed up their midfield, didn't they, a little bit? Was North brought in to 13 this week? Have I got that wrong?
No, he did pop. Yeah, he did pop up in the centres after a couple of breakdowns, but he was listed on the wing, and at set piece he'd go back to wing. And you just think, surely somebody somewhere's got to be going. He's going to play centre for Wales. Then let's put him. It's all well and good being an intelligent player and being able to move positions, but it's the same as playing back row. Number 8 and blind side and open side, they're really, really different positions. Well, even though you'll quite often switch certainly between 6 and 8, there'll be a lot of changes. And I don't see, you can't just make that change without having played there quite a bit. You don't want to be going up against New Zealand and going, right, I'm going to play outside centre. Where do I need to be? Do you know what I mean?
And that's the thing I read as well. Like, I'm just having a look now, and the guy that played at 12, Collins, played fullback the week before against you guys. God.
Yeah. And
then you didn't have Anscombe at 10. Walsh started, didn't he? Is it?
Yes, he did. Yeah. And he had a decent game.
He did. Yeah, when I was watching.
Yeah, because he's still quite a young player, and obviously there to take over from Anscombe in a period of time, so we get his experience when Anscombe isn't there and what have you. But yeah, just confusing the way, that game was there for them to win, and they just seem to go, now hang on a tick. We can't be winning games this early in the season. We have to build to it. We have to build. We have to create the atmosphere. We have to get that anticipation. And I don't know, they just seem to shoot themselves in the foot and just, I don't know, can't put my finger on it, but there were opportunities there for them to win that game. And nobody, you've got Alan Wynne-Jones on the pitch. And nobody went, hang fire. Let's do this and this will win the game. Do you know what I mean?
He put in a wonderful pass, isn't it? His skill sets are just next level, isn't it? You think of him as a hard man, in the second row and a good leader and stuff like that. And you forget sometimes, what a good rugby player he is. And it was the Ospreys attack, I think what I scored from it sort of thing. And he just caught the ball and just swung it in split second. And it was like a centre. It was out. It was absolutely beautiful. So it's such a shame when he retires, isn't it?
Can you imagine if Alan Wynne-Jones and Rhys Webb both retire at the end of the same season for the Ospreys? I mean, oh my God, there's going to be grief counsellors and all sorts of stuff on the gates. They won't know what to do. They'll be in tears for months. But so
Ospreys, and the role he plays on the pitch, isn't it? The role he plays. do you mean it can't be filled? Do you mean, like, isn't it? They rely on what he does. They build a game around what he does and what he says and how he leads and stuff like that, isn't it? Yeah.
But then we talk about this when we talk about the Scarlets and John Fox Davis. It's, we've almost been too reliant on him, and I think maybe the Ospreys have built too much around Alan Wynne-Jones. So when he does go, you're left with this kind of massive void of what do we do now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's that leader now?
And that brings us back to that consistency, isn't it? About plan B in Welsh rugby, isn't it? And that's something we've been not very good at the international level or regional level and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'd quite like us to have a plan A sometimes.
Oh,
it just feels like sometimes they walked on the pitch and go, "Oh, who are you? And you're playing? Oh, really nice to meet you. Yeah, right. Let's go play a game of rugby, shall we?" Sometimes you just get that feeling. But so Ospreys have got Glasgow at home this Saturday. So So you're the expert.
Glasgow looking good. Glasgow, they put some, you can complain about the ref and those yellow cards. I can and I will, and I'm not embarrassed about it. However, they put some absolutely scintillating rugby together, sort of thing. I thought, just brilliant, like between backs and forwards, real sort of the Welsh way, if you like. They attack so well. Their pack fronted up to us, and whether we were, like you were saying earlier, worried about the decisions of the referee, I don't know, but some of the interplay and the passing inside and out was just wonderful to watch. Like, it was really good rugby. So I'm not sure if the Ospreys, well, it would be at the Liberty Stadium, so never say no to somebody at home, innit? But
they'll have a full 25, maybe 30 spectators there. So
none of them Carwyn.
Spreading his lurgy around. Following on from Ospreys and Glasgow, I genuinely thought it was the best game of the weekend, Scarlets and Ulster, and I thought it was going to be a good game. And then I saw the first 10 minutes, and I thought, I might leave this early. I might go mow the lawn or something. But it turned into an absolute belter of a game. And if we could defend,
we scored some great tries, haven't we?
Yeah, and we scored 5 tries against Ulster, and Ulster are like the Irish side this year. Yeah. And I don't think many people are going to score 5 tries against Ulster, in all honesty. No. But our defence was just like, it was like they were sending postcards to each other to tell each other what to do. Like, they were waiting for a pigeon to arrive with a message to say, "Oh, right, see that guy there? Yeah, hit him." It's just so bloody frustrating. And then when you see John Fox Davis getting put on his arse by their centre, I think it was, but you just never see that. Just never used to see that anyway. And it's been a consistent thing where actually our defence against Ospreys was actually quite good, but I think that was a local derby thing. We were flying in and we were hitting everything, anything that moved or sometimes didn't move, just got absolutely hammered against the Ospreys. And then against Ulster, we were similar to Cardiff. We were just sitting there kind of looking at it and going, do we go for it? Do we hang back? We didn't put anybody into a ruck for the first 20 minutes, and they were 2 tries up by then. It was so hard to watch. It wasn't hard to, it was a really good game.
And you're holding on to that.
Yeah.
It's a question that the fans need to ask, isn't it? Like, what is the inconsistency? Why do we fall away? Why are we like the toughest side? And this goes for both our sides, doesn't it? Why are we like this like absolutely brick wall defence in one game and then just like a leaky bucket in the next? But you scored some brilliant tries, though. You said about Jonathan Davis been put on his ass, and he scored as well, did he not? No?
Yeah, he had a lovely work try, and it was, when we're attacking, particularly when we're attacking in open play, I don't think there's a better side at running, finding that empty space and running into it, and that support play. I just think we've got the problem with controlling the game up front. And I think we just have this, sometimes we just seem to have this attitude that it's all right. They score 5 tries, we'll score 6. They score 7 tries, we'll score 8. And it didn't work for us. It should have, because let's talk about that ref. Let me get this out of my system now, right?
I mean,
that ref.
I actually work as a counsellor, so I'm here for you, boy.
that ref on Saturday was shocking. I mean, to start with, first try, Herring comes. So there's pretty much a static ruck. Herring hits the ruck, shoulder straight into Gareth Davis. Gareth Davis was beyond the man with the ball, so he took the man out in front of the ball. He didn't come through the gate, and he spun the play around try. Not even reviewed. And he's kind of sitting there going, like, this is 7 minutes into the game. And you're like, hang on a tick, that needed to be looked at bare minimum. Mm-hmm. Then you had Costello yellow carded for a challenge. If you're not allowed to challenge for that ball in the air, he caught the ball. Well, he didn't catch the ball, but he had his right hand on the ball. And he would have had his left hand on the ball if the Irish player hadn't been in the way, So it's not like he was attacking the Irish player. It's not like he was hitting the Irish player in the air. He was going for the ball. And that's what you do. When you play rugby, you try to catch the ball. Yeah. So for him to get a yellow carded off that was, absolutely dreadful. But then they put 2 tries on us while he was in the bin. And with the best will in the world, he's a strong little git, Costello is. He's built.
Lovely prospect, isn't he? Wonderful player, isn't he?
But you will quite often see him mixing it up with forwards. He's like a little hooker. He's like an aggressive little Jack Russell.
You can see by his shape as well, isn't he? Isn't it?
Yeah. And I think because he's quite short, he's kind of like overcompensated in the gym, and you do get this feeling from him. I've seen him front up the second rows. Well, I've seen him front up to their guts, and then having to look up about 3 foot to front up. But yeah,
I met people like that in clubs. Yeah,
but he's an aggressive sort. But what he got yellow carded for, that was nowhere near a yellow card, and then you had this kick to the corner that was quite obviously dead ball. That your touch judge signals dead ball. It looked really, really iffy from the camera angle. And then you've got players going, oh, yeah, dead ball. Yeah. And no, that's a line out. You're going like bollocks it was. It was a dead ball. You fucking blind or what, It just kind of built and built and built. And then off that line out, even the commentators, and the commentator on Premier Sports was Shane Williams. Shane Williams should never set foot at Parker Scarlets ever again after his commentary on that game, because he was criticising the supporters for when Costello got carded, and anyway. So off that, even Shane Williams, who'd been taking the piss out of Scarlet supporters all day, when they scored off the line out, even he was like, I can't see how we can give that. He can't. He's blown up. The referee is blown, and then the Irish player. Everybody stood up and gone, hang on, and then the Irish player falls over the line and puts the ball down, and the referee goes, right, on-field decision is no try, unless you can tell me any different. And the TMO goes, yeah, there was no knock-on, you can award the try. Well, he wasn't asking, was it a knock-on? Nobody yet has seen that ball grounded. And I agree with you when you say about, you can't blame the referee for stuff, but sometimes the referee and the team were being a twat. Yeah.
My point was, you can't blame the referee, for your own side playing badly, or not
for falling off tackles,
stuff like that, and what have you, which my side was very much guilty of. Yeah, but you can blame the ref for things like that.
I mean, and it was, Costello went off either side at half time, and there was a key period in the game where we were in front and they came back and overtook us. And then again at the end, that try put them more than a try away from us.
Yeah.
So it changes the way you play the game. So, yeah, the bit I was impressed with the Scarlets was the attitude, because, in previous seasons, we probably would have folded at halftime.
He scored 5 tries.
But we'd have had it before. That intensity in the game wouldn't have been there, and it was a really high quality game on Saturday, where both sides actually would have scored tries against whoever was the opposition. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We'd have run rings around just about anybody, and so would Ulster. Ulster would have put tries on anybody the way they were playing the game. We almost brought the best out of each other for that game, and for Scarlets to come away from that game with nothing is a bit gutting. But
yeah,
I think the attitude from the players was, actually, we're going to stick with this, and we fought right the way till the end, and that was the encouraging bit. Just somebody should have stuck one on the referee at half time and in the tunnel or something. It just felt really frustrating with that. But yeah, it
does go to show, isn't it? The excitement in rugby can still be there, isn't it? We watch, if you watch a lot of URC and even the Premiership, sometimes you just watch almost like drudgery, isn't it? With strong defences and stuff like that. So sometimes it's, I just remember what made me fall in love with rugby, isn't it? Was just all this running and stuff, and tries being scored from everywhere. And you don't see that very much, isn't it? So it's nice to see two sides wanting to throw the ball about, isn't it? And losing and scoring 5 tries. That's, even the Ospreys, the level of their score showed, two sides, running at each other and hammering away, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you say that, because we've actually got a listener question. Yeah. Now, this is we're
a listener.
A listener's question, mate. Yeah. Off Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So, don't judge the guy by his name. his handle is Depressed Goblin Nightmare Boy. I'm sure he's a very nice boy,
welcome.
Yeah. So his question was, he's got 2 questions. One is, who's your club's biggest rival outside of the URC? But then his other one is, are Welsh sides capable of playing in a game that doesn't turn into an absolute banger of a game? Is it better to win in a really boring game, or is it better to watch an absolute melter of a game like the Scarlets Ulster game? I was up and shouting and screaming for at least 75 minutes of that game. And really great to watch and intense to watch. Would I have taken a 3-0 win with a kick right on 80 minutes? Yes, I would. That's just, I think it depends on.
I think that's splitting apart your love of rugby and your love of your side, isn't it? I've supported Cardiff since I was 12, I think it was, when I started watching. And so, and especially some of the awful games I've been to. So Cardiff to win by 3 points, I don't mind that. Against Glasgow away, I don't mind that. There's lots of other good rugby going on, but I understand what your man's saying, isn't it? We've just been talking, just watching a wicked, scintillating game of rugby, sort of thing. I was watching some of the All Black Australia the other weekend, because my wife's a Kiwi, And do you mean the All Blacks haven't been playing very well, for the past year and a half maybe and stuff, but some of the rugby that was played there was just like a joy to behold, like, isn't it? And even going to Glasgow, like, so that's what I was saying about them, like some of the rugby they were putting together was just fantastic rugby, like doing, like, in it, and how it should be played, and that's what you're saying, isn't it, about Ulster? It was they were throwing it about in the spirit as it should be played and stuff like that. But then I'm also a Cardiff supporter. I got blue and black blood, and I just think that I'd like to win sometimes. Not all the time.
I'm not greedy. I was watching that Ulster game, and I was going, you boys are playing really, really good. Congratulations. Go do it against bloody Leinster. Save it for Leinster, or go and do it to fucking Benetton or something. Just don't play like that against us. We'll accept that you're a really good team. Just calm it down for the second half and let's have a crack at you. It's a real difficult one. But then this goes into when we talk about the strength of the URC and all of this. So for me, the URC is one of the most. I think right now, with Zebra and Benetton and the Dragons up in their game, it's the most competitive league in the world.
It's improved exponentially, isn't it? Like, especially we got like, the Bulls, for heaven's sake. We got the Bulls in our league, like, do you mean, like, and the Sharks, and stuff like that. Less so the Lions, but do you mean they still
saw some good tries,
absolutely, like, so I think I think it's the Welsh that need to up the game, isn't it, and what have you, to improve the quality. So well done to the Dragons for that. But the Scottish provinces, the Irish provinces, Scottish clubs, I should say, and Zebra and Benetton. Do you mean 10 years ago? Right, do you mean Zebra and Benetton were bankers, weren't they? Like, can't remember how long Zebra's been in existence.
Whichever Italian side was in at that time. It was a guaranteed win, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can remember times when the Irish provinces used to be like, they fantastically up their games, like, what have you. They now like realize that they're bringing forth a branch of their own rugby, aren't they? Zebra and Benetton have got these big packs, but they've also started to produce these really good backs as well, and some of them are playing in the French leagues, and there's a couple around, in the Gallagher and so forth. So they're getting like more international quality backs as well, sort of thing, to add to. They've always produced, quite a few, class forwards, haven't they, down the years? But now they're starting to put together like some good outside halves, some people who can run games, not just like a hard running centre or a fast wing or something like that.
They're putting together a better team that complements each other, rather than the odd player here and there being, outstanding. The bit I was going to say, that, and this is where URC lets it down. It lets itself down, is around the marketing. So when I listened to watched a bit of Gallagher Premiership over the weekend. I watched a lot of it. I just don't tell the wife that I've watched all of it, and they talk about high scoring games, similar to the Ulster Scarlets game, two teams both in the 40s and what have you. And when they comment on the Scarlets Ulster game, they said, well, any side that's letting in 50 points is getting an absolute kicking, an absolute pasting. What a game, But then you've got, actually, you obviously haven't seen that game. You've looked at the score and gone, one's 50, one's 40, one's 39 or whatever, that's a kicking. And it wasn't. But then you listen to the way they talk about English games, and then it's all, great to see a high scoring game, plenty of attack, nobody's saying the defence is crap. They're saying that attack is ripping the defence apart. And I think that's where we let ourselves, particularly in Wales, where we're quite happy to sit there and go, we're shit. We're used to it now. We've done it for so long. It's the mentality that we've got. But actually, what we should be saying is, actually, Scarlets, Ospreys, Dragons, Cardiff all scored some really, really good tries. All four sides scored some really, really cracking tries over the weekend, and they really showed what we can do in attack, and they showed how we can play the game. Yeah, might be needed a little bit of shoring up in defence, but actually the attack is on top, and we're playing an attacking game. And if we just need to kind of shut a few gates here and there, but maintain that attack, then it'll come good. And I think that's the difference between the URC. The difference between URC and Gallagher, firstly, is refereeing, and then after refereeing, it's the marketing. But I could go on all day about bloody differences between the two. But just that,
it's a bigger game. Like there's more money in the Gallagher Premiership for a reason, isn't it? Like it's still more or less the same product that you had 30, 40 years ago, isn't it? Like it's still Saracens, it's still Harlequins, it's still, and I'm not saying like, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like regionalism and clubs and that sort of thing, because that's maybe for that drunken Christmas special.
That's another Christmas special, that is, mate.
Yeah. That's 3. Yeah. But my point is, like, do you mean, like, I look at it, I go down to the South Terrace in the Cardiff Arms Park, and on a good day we've got like 8,000 people down there. And that feels good. That feels loads of people have turned out to watch a big game and stuff like that. Used to be loads more. Like, I remember, like massive crowds at the Arms Park. But then you watch like Leicester come on even when they weren't doing very well, and you were still seeing like 25,000 people turning up to games. Gloucester, man, in the shed. Do you mean like it's wonderful to see the crowd? So they,
But I had a look at the attendance figures for the first couple of weeks, and you compare Gallagher Premiership and URC, not that different. There's
really?
A couple. Yeah, there's a couple that are bigger. Bristol was the main one, but other than that, pretty much on a par. And this is where I think URC lets itself down, is if we were talking ourselves up, and if we were talking about how fantastic it was to watch a Scarlets or to go and watch Cardiff, and maybe dragging a few more people along with us, it would be. I'm willing to bet that Rodney Parade this weekend will be rammed full off the base of that one win last weekend, and the way they played that game. That's going to be full this weekend. And when you walk onto the pitch as a player and you hear that crackle, there's nothing like it, and it gives you that extra bit. And when you walk on the pitch as an opposition and you hear, every time you breathe, somebody's wanting to rip your tongue out and shove it up your arse, that affects you. So I think that we're shooting ourselves in the foot by talking the game down and talking everything down.
Absolutely.
We could be actually making ourselves, making our lives a lot easier, and saying, actually, we've actually got a really decent product here, and we could do it a lot better. Yeah, but I think this is only the second season with that full quota of South African sides. 2 or 3 seasons time, that's going to be massive. It's just going to go absolutely nuts. But anyway.
And this one of the one game, my wife has said, should we do an away game to South Africa? I love, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm trying to get mine to go to Italy. Let's have a weekend away in Italy. I actually said to her, how do you fancy a weekend away in Italy, maybe somewhere around the end of the season? And she went, that's fine, as long as we don't watch any rugby. I go, well, when you say we,
So she either knows you or doesn't know you.
Yeah. And I'm not going to take that chance. I'm just going to, okay, we'll put this down to another time. Right, we're going to run out of time in a minute, mate. So we need to do some predictions for this weekend.
Absolutely. Right.
Seeing as we all predicted Cardiff to have an absolutely outstanding game, and then by 9 o'clock last Friday, we were all going, this is a bag of shit. So Cardiff, Carwyn has sent his predictions in, and he said Welsh sides are going to win everything, which I think is a bit ambitious, but you know, that's Carwyn for you. That's Carwyn.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what we got? We got we're up first, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
you're first against the
Friday
Lions.
Night against the Lions, and I'm gonna call it a Cardiff win. I think at home we're going to change things around. It's something that I'm very used to when we play usually at home. But I reckon the Lions showed enough vulnerability for us to do them over.
I'm going to say
with an approach that we had against Munster.
I'm going to say the Lions are going to beat you by 10 points, and you're going to be absolutely livid with the ref. So that's my call for this weekend.
It's quite a safe bet.
Yeah. Dragons and Sharks. I'm going to go Sharks. Yeah,
that's an easy one. Sharks. Yeah, I reckon it'll be a good game, and I reckon the Dragons will go at them. But I think the Sharks just got too much firepower.
Yeah. Ospreys, Glasgow. Yeah, see, you done the same as me.
I go Glasgow.
I can't bring myself to say Osprey, so I'm going to go Glasgow as well.
Go Glasgow.
And then Scarlets, Benetton. I've got to go Scarlets on that one.
I think Scarlets are home, isn't it? Yeah. So
no, it's away. It's in Benetton.
It's away. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll still take the Scarlets, but there's a few variables there, isn't it? Both Italian teams at home are a different prospect these days, aren't they?
And
I'll take the Scarlets as well.
Literally do that. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with Scarlets. I just think everyone's had a bit of a hairdryer this week, and I just can't see us not defending. This may be our 3-0 game with a drop kick on 80 minutes. This may be that game, and I'll come back.
A game for the league, isn't it? A game for the league. Get some points.
It's about the points. I just think if we go past this game without a win, and then we play you boys the week after, it just changes the complex of everything. So, and I don't want to go against you guys going in that desperate state. Do you know what I mean? I think we'd rather be desperate against Benetton, stop them playing, and just sneak a couple at the end, slip the referee a tenner at half time, and go, look, it's about time we had a couple an hour away. But yeah, I think it's going to be really tight, really close, but we're going to come out on top on that one. So,
yeah. I'll go with that. Tentatively, I'll go with that though. Yeah.
Tentatively. So yeah, and that kind of wraps up everything, my friend. We're done. Another week finished, finito. Just the two of us. No Carwyn. Goes a lot quicker without Carwyn. I have to be fair. All that Ospreys
amazing what happens when you have fun.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be good to have him back next week. Yeah.
He will be, but I can hear him already going, right, I've got a couple of bits from the last couple of weeks to talk about. So yeah. Anyway, have a good weekend, my friend, and I shall catch up with you next week. All the best.
Yeah. Nice one. Ta-da now.
All the best, mate. Ta-da. Well, that's a wrap. Did you see what we did there? Did you see? It was good, wasn't it? So we hope you enjoyed listening to the show today. If you'd like to get involved with the show, you can message us by going to anchor.fm/wrap, the WRRAP. Hit the message button and you can record a short voice message for us to play on the show. Or you can follow us on Twitter with Wrap Podcast, WRRA Podcast. See what we did there? don't just put this stuff together, you know. Or you can email us on a Welsh Regional Rugby Pod at gmail.com. So don't forget, this is the show for you, the fans. The more of you that get involved, the better the show is. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.